Hey guys, tonight we're stepping back in time, traveling to the year 60 AD, where the harsh routines and disciplined lifestyle of a Roman centurion await. Imagine waking up at dawn to the sound of your fellow soldiers groaning and shuffling, preparing for another demanding day. The Roman military was nothing if not rigorous, and as a centurion, your morning was one of the first to be shaped by this relentless structure. The camp is still shrouded in the soft haze of early morning, but there's no time to waste. The sun barely peeks over the horizon before the horn blows, signaling the start of a long day. It's not a pleasant, leisurely wake-up, but rather a sharp reminder that the empire moves early and fast. And if you're lucky, you'll survive this day. You open your eyes and feel the weight of your responsibility press on you even before you fully wake up. Your soldiers are counting on you for guidance, and the Empire, too, expects nothing less than total discipline. As a centurion, you're not just a soldier. You're a leader, a motivator, and a symbol of Roman strength. But before you even get to the physical part of the day, you must mentally adjust. You've heard it 1,000 times. The Roman soldier rises with the sun. It's no exaggeration. As soon as the horn sounds, you have no choice but to roll out of your simple cot, still a little too heavy with sleep, and prepare yourself. There's no snooze button in ancient Rome. Your first task is simple but crucial, ensuring your men are ready for the day. You step into the central area of the camp, where soldiers begin to rouse themselves from their small shelters. This morning is no different, but the hum of the camp's collective movement fills the air. The tightening of leather straps, the clatter of metal, and the murmur of voices. It's quiet, but tense, as each soldier knows the weight of their task. Roman discipline is evident in every movement, even in the mundane moments. There's no room for slacking. Your first task is ensuring that your soldiers are awake, alert, and ready for inspection. Historians still argue whether the strict morning regimen was purely for military readiness or if it also served as a form of psychological warfare. Regardless of the reason, you feel the pressure. Your soldiers, already sleep-deprived from countless drills and long nights on watch, move sluggishly but steadily. But the day can't start without the muster. The muster is a ceremonial roll call where soldiers check in with their centurion. It's where the integrity of the entire unit is scrutinized. You step forward, and with a commanding tone, you begin your inspection. The first part is simple eyes. You scan the faces of your men, gauging their energy and alertness. A Roman centurion had to be able to read the signs of fatigue or illness, as these could spell disaster for a campaign. Soldiers who appeared weak or ill were marked, as it was vital to ensure that the whole unit was at peak performance. As you check each man, a small part of you, the ever-vigilant leader, hopes for a smooth muster. But Roman soldiers aren't robots. They're human. You already know that some might show signs of hesitation or a lack of enthusiasm. Perhaps a sore leg from yesterday's long march, or a bruised ego from a skirmish. You know that in this role, a slight flaw in a single soldier can ripple through the whole camp, so you remain sharp and focused. The real work begins now. You'll command your men to form up for their morning drill, which is as much about testing their focus as it is about keeping them in peak shape. There's no time for chit-chat or breaks. Everyone has their duties to fulfill. It's the Roman way, so before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Also, drop your location and local time in the comments, and let me know where you're tuning in from tonight. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The muster has been completed, and your soldiers are now gathered in neat lines ready for the day ahead. It's time for a little show of force, a demonstration of the sheer might of Rome. As the centurion, your first task is to ensure that every soldier is in perfect order, each one poised for the drills that will follow. This isn't a simple routine. It's a physical test, and more importantly, a mental one. The Roman legions are built on precision, and today it's your job to make sure every man is in top form. The heat of the sun is just beginning to bear down as you walk through the ranks. The soldiers standing at attention shift uncomfortably in their armor. The weight of the larica segmentata, the segmented armor that encases their bodies, clings to their skin, a constant reminder of the burden they carry for the empire. It's not just protection, it's a symbol of their commitment. The marching sandals, the helmet that seems a little too tight, the chainmail that rubs against your neck, it's all part of the package. And none of it is particularly comfortable. Now, you're here to make sure everyone's gear is in proper condition. A quick tap of the sword on a soldier's shield signals to him that he needs to adjust his posture. A nod to another lets him know his helmet needs to be lowered. It's not just about ensuring they're in the right formation. It's about ensuring that their individual performance will hold up in the face of the empire's military demands. But there's a deeper responsibility that weighs on you today. As the centurion, your role goes beyond just checking gear or giving orders. You must gauge the morale of your men, look for signs of fatigue, stress, or homesickness. These subtle signs are often harder to detect, but they're just as important as the sharpness of their blades. The longer the campaign, the more difficult it becomes to keep spirits high, especially as the rigors of Roman military life drag on day after day. Even the strongest warriors can be weakened by the monotony of it all. You've learned to read the signs: a slouched posture, distracted eyes, hesitant movements. But for now, the drill is the focus. You give the signal, and with a sharp command, the soldiers begin their drills. The sound of their boots hitting the dusty ground echoes through the camp as they perform a series of movements with practiced ease. The drill is a mix of coordinated formations, swordplay, and marching, each step meticulously timed. Even in the scorching heat, there's no slacking off. Everyone knows that a single misstep could cost them in the heat of battle, and you, the centurion, have to keep it all in line. The drills aren't just about perfecting technique. They serve a deeper purpose, creating an instinctive reaction, ensuring that every soldier moves as one. The Romans were known for their exceptional coordination, and that's because every soldier, no matter his rank, was drilled to respond to the same command in the same way. No hesitation, no second guessing. As the soldiers advance and retreat in formation, you keep a sharp eye on the movements of the group. Your mind races, but you maintain a steady pace. One wrong step, and a soldier could trip, throwing off the entire formation. The Romans knew how to march, how to fight, and how to create cohesion out of chaos. Each man's action had to be as deliberate as the next. There was no room for weakness. You pause to address a soldier who hasn't aligned his shield properly. A simple nudge with the flat of your sword, and he corrects himself with a quick, apologetic glance. It's this constant attention to detail that keeps the army moving like a well-oiled machine. No matter how tired they are, no matter how much they long for a break, the soldiers know that perfection is expected at all times. By the time the drill comes to an end, you've worked up a bit of a sweat yourself. You glance at your soldiers, inspecting their movements for any signs of weakness. As a centurion, you can't afford to be complacent. If one soldier fails to perform his duties, it could bring down the entire unit. The group is only as strong as its weakest link. Your soldiers are not mere foot soldiers. They are elite warriors, and it's your job to make sure they stay that way. The skill, the discipline, the unity, all must be preserved. And yet, After hours of marching sword drills and shield practice, there's a palpable sense of relief when the exercise finally concludes. The soldiers wipe sweat from their brows, shoulders heaving as they pause for a brief respite. There's a certain camaraderie that exists between them. The grind is hard, but shared suffering bonds them in ways that words cannot. In these moments, the centurion isn't just a leader. You're a part of the team. Historians still argue whether Roman centurions were more than just military tacticians, whether their real value lay in their ability to maintain morale and cohesion within their ranks. It's easy to think that being a centurion was simply about strategy and combat, but the psychological warfare within your camp could be just as challenging as any enemy on the battlefield. Today, you see it in the tired eyes of your soldiers. Some are still performing at their peak, while others may be showing the first signs of wear. But for now, you focus on the task at hand, preparation for the day's patrol. The camp is busy. Soldiers move quickly to fetch their gear, checking their swords and shields, adjusting the straps of their armor. The camp's energy shifts slightly as the soldiers prepare to leave the relative safety of the camp and venture into more uncertain territory. The morning's drill might be over, but the true test of the day is just beginning. Before that, though, there's one more thing you must attend to resupplying. Even the Roman Empire, despite its vast wealth, had to ensure its soldiers had the necessary supplies for every campaign. The armor, the weapons, the food, all of it must be kept in pristine condition. If one piece falters, the whole campaign could unravel. As the soldiers gather their supplies, you take a moment to reflect. You're not just a soldier. You are a representative of Rome itself, tasked with enforcing the power and authority of the empire. It's a weight that can never be forgotten, and one that never truly leaves you. Yet despite the immense responsibility, there's also a certain pride in it. You are part of something monumental, something that has shaped the course of history. Every drill, every order, every decision, each one plays its part in the empire's grand machine. The soldiers are now ready. They are sharp-focused and resupplied. Your next task is simple but important to make sure your unit is prepared for the march. The next phase of the day awaits, and with that, the rest of the camp comes alive in a flurry of activity as soldiers ready themselves for the day's journey ahead. The camp buzzes with activity as soldiers begin gathering their things, preparing for the day's patrol. You can hear the familiar clink of armor, the sharpening of swords, the rustle of bags being packed. The tension of the morning's drills hasn't quite dissipated. It lingers in the air like a thick fog, the product of hard work and expectation. Every Roman soldier, no matter his rank, knows that a well-prepared army is a victorious one. As a centurion, you have to ensure that all your men are ready for whatever lies ahead, whether it's a long march, a skirmish, or even an unexpected confrontation with a neighboring tribe. The first task is always ensuring that the soldiers are equipped with everything they need for the journey. There's no room for error here. Each soldier must be prepared to march long distances over uneven terrain. Their sandals are sturdy, but not invincible. The sword shields and armor must be checked again. No one can afford a loose strap or a dull blade. Even the simplest oversight could be disastrous in the field. You begin your inspection, walking from one soldier to the next, watching for any signs of misalignment in their gear. The soldiers, always eager to please, snap to attention at the sight of you. There's an unspoken understanding. Your vigilance is just as important as their readiness. You point out any minor flaws, offering advice here and there, but for the most part, your men have become experts in the art of preparation. It's a dance precision and speed where every moment counts. As you continue your rounds, you notice the smell of salt water carried by the wind. The scent reminds you of the time spent near the coast, just the faintest trace of the sea in the air. Rome's borders stretch far and wide from the windswept shores of the Mediterranean to the thick forests of Germania. The empire is vast, and with that vastness comes a responsibility you carry as the leader of your unit. Your mission could take you anywhere. Finally, with a nod of approval, you signal for the soldiers to begin lining up for the march. The formation is everything in the Roman military. There's a rhythm to it, a coordinated dance of boots on the ground and shields at the ready. You step into position at the front of the column, and with a few sharp words, the order is given. The soldiers begin to move in unison, their steps synchronized with the precision of a clock. The marching doesn't begin with a rush or a sprint. It's a steady, methodical pace designed to conserve energy over long distances. You've marched countless miles in your career, and you know the importance of endurance. In the Roman military, it's not just about the battle. It's about getting there, getting to the fight in the best shape possible, ready for whatever comes. The dust kicks up underfoot as the column moves forward. The sun is rising higher now, and the heat begins to intensify. As a centurion, you've grown accustomed to the strain of the sun, the weight of your armor, and the occasional discomfort of your sandals digging into your feet. But you push forward, setting the pace for your men. You know the importance of leading by example. Along the way, you pass through quiet stretches of land, the vast openness broken only by the occasional clump of trees or the distant sound of a river. The landscape changes subtly with each step. The roads are often rough, the terrain uneven, and the heat unbearable at times. But there's a certain comfort in the regularity of the march, the familiar rhythm that each soldier knows instinctively. Every now and then, you catch glimpses of your men's faces. Some look exhausted, others deep in thought, but all of them share the same determination. There's no room for doubt in a Roman legion. The march is long, but it's not without moments of relief. Occasionally, you stop at a small settlement or a fort along the way to resupply. These places, often little more than outposts, are vital for the Roman military's success. The empire's reach is vast, and its supply lines must be maintained. Every Roman soldier knows that if a fort or settlement is lost, it could spell disaster for an entire legion. The journey is a constant balance between moving forward and ensuring that your men remain well-equipped and ready for any challenge. At the settlement, the soldiers quickly dismount and begin gathering provisions. You stand nearby overseeing the transaction. You glance around the bustling scene, your eyes trained to pick out any potential threats. Even here, among allies and friendly locals, vigilance is key. Roman soldiers were notorious for their ability to defend themselves even in seemingly safe places. But it's not just about avoiding danger. It's about keeping your men prepared for the next stage of their journey. Every meal, every piece of equipment, every small interaction plays a role in ensuring the legion's survival. While the soldiers grab their rations, you take a moment to assess the area. It's always important to understand the lay of the land, especially if you're moving into unfamiliar territory. The Romans were excellent map makers and planners, but nothing beats first-hand knowledge. You talk briefly with the local leaders, exchanging information about potential threats or areas to avoid. There's a constant flow of information in the Empire's spies, scouts, and messengers who keep the military informed of any developments along the borders. As the resupply process comes to an end, you feel a familiar tug of restlessness. The soldiers are eager to move on, and you can sense the urgency in the air. The journey isn't over yet, and the path ahead is still uncertain. There could be more marching, more battles, more hardships. But that's the nature of being a centurion. There's always another challenge on the horizon. With everything in place, you give the signal to move out again. The column reforms, and once again, you begin your steady march toward the unknown. The road ahead is long, and it's filled with the uncertainty of what lies beyond the horizon. But you've been down this road before, and with the strength of Rome at your back, you know you're ready for whatever comes. The march continues, steady and unrelenting, as the sun climbs higher into the sky. The soldiers are used to the routine by now. March, rest, march again. It's an exhausting cycle, but one that has been ingrained in them since they were recruits. The rhythmic sound of boots on the ground is a familiar, comforting noise in the otherwise quiet landscape. Every soldier knows that the longer you march, the more you endure, the stronger the bond becomes. The Roman legions are renowned not just for their discipline, but for their ability to keep moving, no matter the challenge. As the day presses on, the heat intensifies. The air grows thick, and the weight of your armor feels heavier with each passing mile. The larica segmentata, the segmented armor that shields your torso, begins to rub against your skin, its metal edges digging into you with every movement. The marching sandals, while sturdy, begin to chafe, and your feet ache with each step. But you're a Roman centurion, and you know there's no room for weakness. You push on, setting the pace for your soldiers. The soldiers behind you, though, exhausted, keep their focus. You glance over your shoulder, noting their progress. Some are sweating profusely, their tunics clinging to their bodies, while others are more composed, their movements steady and practiced. You notice a few men stumbling slightly, their steps slowing. It's the heat, the relentless march, and the constant tension of the unknown that's beginning to wear on them. Historians still argue whether the Roman military's focus on endurance and physical conditioning was the key to its success. While tactics and weaponry played an important role, the ability to march for hours, sometimes days, through hostile territory set the Roman legions apart. It wasn't about fighting a single battle, it was about the long game. Endurance, perseverance, and the unyielding commitment to Rome's might. You make a mental note to address the fatigue. As much as you push your soldiers, you know the importance of keeping morale high. The physical toll of the march can be overwhelming, but it's the mental toll that can be even more destructive. The soldiers need to stay sharp, alert, and ready for whatever awaits them. And while it's impossible to avoid the physical strain of the journey, you can mitigate it with small moments of relief. You signal for a brief halt, and the column comes to a stop. The soldiers immediately begin to catch their breath, many of them bending at the waist or resting their hands on their knees. A few even take the opportunity to kneel in the dirt, rubbing their aching feet. This pause is a relief, but it's a short one. You can't afford to linger long. There's still much ground to cover before nightfall, and you don't want to lose time. But for now, it's an opportunity to assess the situation. As you walk through the ranks, you check in with your men. Some are already taking off their armor, allowing themselves a few moments of comfort. You glance at their faces, looking for signs of exhaustion, frustration, or fear. There's always the chance that someone will crack under the pressure, and as their leader, it's your job to recognize it before it becomes a problem. A quick nod, a brief word of encouragement, these little moments of personal connection can make all the difference in maintaining the unity of your legion. You come across a young soldier, no more than 17 or 18. His face is pale, his eyes dull with fatigue. He's clutching the strap of his shield, but it seems like the weight of it might be too much for him today. His shoulders slump, and you can see the exhaustion written all over him. You approach him keeping your voice low, but firm. "You've got this," you say, giving him a slight pat on the back. "Focus on the next step. We're all in this together." The young soldier nods, his chest rising and falling with each labored breath. His face brightens just slightly enough for you to see that he'll be able to continue. You walk away satisfied for the moment. This is the delicate balance of leadership, knowing when to push and when to give a little grace. After a few minutes, the soldiers begin to reassemble and you signal for the march to resume. The rest period was brief but effective. The column begins to move once again, slowly at first, but gradually picking up speed. The soldiers are refreshed, if only slightly, and the march continues. You feel the familiar weight of your armor once again as you step forward, leading your men with steady confidence. The landscape shifts as the march progresses. The flat terrain gives way to more rugged paths, and the ground becomes uneven. You can see the soldiers carefully navigating the obstacles, their movements careful but deliberate. The terrain, though difficult, is nothing they haven't dealt with before. The Roman military was built for this, and the soldiers move as though they've been doing it their entire lives. Every now and then, you glance up at the sky. The sun is beginning to dip lower now, casting long shadows across the land. You know that nightfall is approaching, and with it comes the uncertainty of the evening. The Romans were expert at preparing for nighttime camp setups, but there was always the risk of surprise attacks. Even in friendly territories, vigilance was essential. As the column presses on, your mind shifts from the physical journey to the potential dangers that lie ahead. Patrols have been known to encounter hostile tribes, bandits, and other unforeseen threats. The Roman Empire, despite its vastness and power, wasn't impervious to the dangers of the wild. You've seen it all before. Unexpected skirmishes, ambushes in dense forests, or a sudden raid in the middle of the night. It's during these moments that the Roman military's true strength becomes apparent. The soldiers, though weary, are always prepared. Every one of them is trained to fight at a moment's notice. The training drills the endless repetition, the hours of preparation. All of it leads to moments like this when the army must be ready for anything. As the march stretches on, you begin to notice the first signs of exhaustion creeping into the soldiers again. The fatigue is palpable, but the discipline of the Roman military ensures that it doesn't break their spirits. They keep moving forward, one foot in front of the other, their resolve unwavering. As a centurion, you can't help but feel a sense of pride as you watch your men. They might be tired, hungry, and sore, but they will not falter. They will march until the last man stands. Finally, as the sun begins to set, you signal for another brief halt. The soldiers are eager to set up camp for the night, but there's still one last task before that, ensuring the perimeter is secure. The camp, no matter how temporary, must be fortified. You're not just here to rest. You're here to survive the night and prepare for whatever comes tomorrow. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting the world in shades of red and orange, you survey the area around you. The day's march has taken its toll on the soldiers, but the night brings with it its own set of challenges. The warm glow of the setting sun offers a brief respite from the heat, but as darkness encroaches, the temperature will drop sharply. It's crucial to set up camp quickly, not just for rest, but for the security that it provides. The soldiers need time to recover, but first, the perimeter must be secured, and a defense plan must be put into place. The Roman military didn't rely on luck when it came to setting up camp. The fortifications were planned down to the smallest detail. You give the order for the soldiers to form a defensive circle, ensuring that every man understands his role in securing the camp. Each soldier moves with purpose, digging trenches, erecting palisades, and setting up sentry posts. The camp is a temporary structure, yes, but it must be organized and fortified as if it's permanent. You've seen what can happen when soldiers let their guard down, and tonight there will be no such mistakes. Historians still argue whether Roman soldiers had an innate ability to feel the presence of danger or if it was simply a product of their rigorous training. Some believe it was the constant drills, others say it was the unity of the unit, an almost intuitive connection between the soldiers that made them more alert than a random group of men. Regardless of the reason you've learned to trust your instincts, even the faintest sound or shift in the wind can signal trouble. As the last sentries are posted, the camp begins to take shape. The soldiers are working together seamlessly, their movements coordinated as they set up tents, organize gear, and prepare for the night ahead. You can hear the low hum of voices, some speaking softly to each other, others lost in their own thoughts. The exhaustion is still evident, but it's mingled with the sense of purpose that defines a Roman soldier. The camp is secure, but the job isn't done yet. You must ensure that everything is in place for the night's watch. Once the perimeter is fully secured, you return to the center of the camp where the officers are gathered. They look to you for guidance, and you provide it in the form of a simple, clear order. Post the sentries. Double the watch tonight. You can see the acknowledgement in their eyes. There's no question here everyone knows the importance of maintaining vigilance. The soldiers will take turns on watch throughout the night, rotating every few hours to ensure that no one becomes too fatigued to stay alert. The rest of the camp begins to settle into the quiet routine of evening. The soldiers eat their rations, talk in small groups, or clean their weapons. The atmosphere is markedly different from the chaos of battle, but there's a simmering tension beneath the calm. The Roman military operates like a machine, each part dependent on the others. The soldier's ability to rest while maintaining vigilance is critical. A well-rested soldier is a sharp soldier, and a sharp soldier is a deadly one. As you watch the camp come together, you take a moment to reflect on the day. The march had been long and grueling, but you've kept your men in line, pushing them when necessary, and giving them the space they needed when they showed signs of fatigue. As a centurion, your role is more than just about commanding soldiers. It's about managing morale, assessing weaknesses, and capitalizing on strengths. Each decision you make could mean the difference between victory and defeat. The sun has now disappeared completely, and the night has fully claimed the sky. The only light comes from the flickering torches placed around the camp, casting long shadows across the dirt and stone. The soldiers gather around small campfires, huddling together for warmth as the temperature continues to drop. The air is cool now, but the heat of the day still lingers in your body, making the chill feel even more pronounced. The flickering light from the torches casts an almost hypnotic glow, and for a moment you feel yourself relax. But there's no time to fully unwind. Your mind is always working, assessing, planning. The night watch begins in earnest. You stand near the central fire, your eyes scanning the perimeter. The sentries move in and out of your line of sight, keeping their eyes on the horizon for any movement. You can feel the tension in the air. It's the quiet before the storm. As a centurion, you've learned to be patient. Sometimes the longest hours are the ones where nothing happens at all. The stillness of the night can be unsettling. It's a reminder that danger can strike without warning. As you stand watch, you think back to the soldiers who've fallen in battle, the friends and comrades you've lost over the years. The thought is fleeting, but it's always there, lurking in the background. The Roman military is unforgiving, and you know all too well that one slip-up could cost a man his life. That's why you're here, why you're standing watch tonight, leading your men with the same determination. that you've shown every day of your career. After a few hours of standing guard, you take a moment to check on your men again. You see that they're settling into their routines. The firelight flickers across their faces, casting their features in shadow. Some of the soldiers are eating, while others are silently reflecting on the day. You walk through the camp offering a few words of encouragement to those on the watch. You've earned their respect, and you know that they'll follow your lead when the time comes. The night is still, but the job is never finished. The soldiers rest when they can, but your vigilance never falters. You know that tomorrow will bring new challenges, new obstacles to overcome. But for now, the camp is secure, and the soldiers are safe. The night watch will carry on, and so will you. The night stretches on, and the first hours of the watch pass quietly, but your senses remain sharp, every small sound, a potential signal of danger. The flicker of the campfires, the occasional rustle in the brush, the faintest stir of the wind. Everything feels significant when you're on duty. You've spent countless nights in the field, but the quiet moments are always the hardest. There's a kind of tension that accompanies this stillness, a feeling that something could break the calm at any second. Yet nothing does. You walk along the perimeter, your boots sinking slightly into the soft earth as you keep a steady pace. The soldiers on watch are alert, their eyes scanning the dark horizon, every sound under scrutiny. You exchange a few brief words with them, offering encouragement, keeping their spirits up. They've been on the road for weeks now, and fatigue is beginning to take its toll. But the Roman soldier is trained to push through exhaustion. There's no room for weakness in the Empire's legions, and your men know that. As a centurion, you often find yourself in a strange position. You're both part of the ranks and separate from them. While you're with your soldiers fighting alongside them and enduring the same hardships, you're also their leader. That means your thoughts are never fully on yourself. Every decision you make affects the lives of those under your command. You don't just lead from the front, you lead with the responsibility of ensuring everyone's safety, morale, and readiness. It's a weight that never truly lifts. The firelight dances across your soldiers' faces as you pass them, the shadows flickering across their tired eyes. The camp feels different at night, quieter, almost somber. In the daytime, the soldiers are busy, active, and full of energy. But as the stars rise in the sky, there's a certain stillness that sets in. The noise of the day fades into the background, and the quiet of the night takes over. You pause for a moment, taking in the scene. The soldiers are slowly finding moments of rest, their eyes heavy with exhaustion, but still watchful. A few of them huddle together near the fire, exchanging stories or murmuring quiet words. These moments of camaraderie are what make the hardships of the day bearable. The shared experience, the constant sense of unity among your men, is what makes the Roman military such an effective force. It's not just about discipline, it's about the strength of the bond between each soldier. And that bond is forged in the fires of adversity. The night wears on and the quiet stretches. As the second half of the watch begins, a new set of soldiers relieves the first. They take their places along the perimeter while the previous watch finds a place to rest. You take a moment to check in with your officers, ensuring that the shift changes are going smoothly and that everything is running according to plan. Communication is key, especially in the dark when it's easy for small issues to turn into larger problems. You also take the time to check on your personal gear. Even though the day's march is over, there's no such thing as rest for a centurion. The armor that once felt heavy on your body is now uncomfortable in a new way. The lorica segmentata, presses against your skin in spots you didn't notice before, and your sword feels oddly weighted in your hand, like a constant reminder of the duty you bear. The shift in the air grows colder, and a chill sets into your bones. You know the importance of staying warm and alert. A good leader sets the example, so you ensure that you're just as vigilant as your soldiers. Historians have long debated whether the physical discomfort of Roman soldiers was one of the reasons for their famed resilience. While it's clear that Roman military training was brutal, it's equally apparent that the hardship itself cultivated a kind of mental toughness. For a soldier, the physical discomforts, the aching limbs, the bruises from armor, the calluses on your feet were all a part of the process. It made them stronger, more adaptable, and more capable of enduring the hardships of long campaigns. You can feel that strength in yourself, the quiet assurance that you can push through anything. You begin to notice the first signs of the dawn. The sky, though still dark, begins to lighten ever so slightly. It's the beginning of the end for this long night. The soldiers on watch continue their duties, alert to any change in the environment. Your mind starts to shift away from the night's vigilance and toward the day ahead. There's still a long way to go in the campaign, and you can't afford to rest easy just because the sun is rising. Each day presents new challenges, and each night brings the possibility of new dangers. Your soldiers will need to be prepared for whatever comes their way. As the first light of dawn begins to break over the horizon, you feel the tension of the night start to ease. The camp is still dark, but the faint glow of the morning is creeping in, signaling the end of